So we're putting another cylinder head on this car. So this is a completely rebuilt head that we're supplying. His other head had some issues, and one other thing I want to show you, he has a couple of stuck valves, but the head is generally in bad shape. It's got worn guides and it's had a few misfires. So we noticed when we removed the head, this guide up here, there was a piece missing. So it's one of those lucky things that we had one in stock. So the head was already off. We pulled the front of the motor and drained the oil, and we managed to see the little piece that had broken off. So this is the piece that we noticed was broken off. It's the piece of the aluminum. You can see the material there. I mean, the chain holds against that. It probably wouldn't really cause an issue, but it's something we noticed. A little bit more work to pull it apart, but we had some of these in stock. And there is the little piece that we pulled out of the pen right there. Alright, so looking at the valves, you could see on the top of the pistons which was misfiring, but I think it was this cylinder right here that had the sticky valve. Oh, that definitely wasn't it. That came out pretty easy. It's one of these, but it was stuck pretty bad. There it is. It comes out that much and sticks. See that? Which is amazing because the cam has a little bit more lift than that. So it was almost like the cam was hitting that, putting all kinds of tension on it. So the head is on, all set up, valves are adjusted, everything is good. All new gaskets. We found a whole bunch of gaskets that were kind of old and dry rotted. We replaced this VTEC solenoid gasket before, and it looked like the O-rings on the TCT were also leaking, so we replaced those, put a new gasket in this because we replaced it a month ago. It's always best to do it again. So we took one of our manifolds that we had, stripped it, sent it out to AB, and had it refinished in wrinkle, so it's going to match the valve cover, but it looks super nice. And what I like about the wrinkle is it kind of blends a lot of the cast lines. You know, there's still a little bit of a line there, you know, the casting mark and stuff, but it blends a lot of it together.
All right, so the original steering wheel in leather, perforated. It's not perfect, it's not bad. There's a couple marks in it. It's got some miles on it, but he opted to go with the full Alcantara with the yellow stitch, the yellow center marker, and it's a little bit thicker. I don't know if you can really tell in the video there, but it's a little bit thicker. Not crazy thick, but just a little bit more. So I'm going to get all this stuff swapped over. I've already taken it all off. The thing for the horn, the back, cruise control buttons, it's all off. When we get it on there, we'll get it put in the car. Alright, there's the steering wheel installed. All Alcantara, yellow stitched, yellow center marker. That's a good looking steering wheel. It's a great upgrade. Whether your wheel's in great condition or not, with a little bit of padding, gripping an Alcantara wheel just feels nicer.
Alright, back together, just going over everything, checking, making sure everything is plugged in. It's got oil, it's got water, everything should be good. We should be able to hit the key, make sure everything is ready to go. Looks so much better. Look how nice that intake manifold looks. Cycle the key a couple of times. Yep, we're good, clean and dry. Still got coolant in here. Alright, whenever you are. Yeah. Little timing chain. Again, we preset the timing chain, so it takes a second to build oil pressure and quieten up. Sounds good. We'll probably end up with a little bit of smoke over there in a minute after us handling the manifold. Before we put the heat shield on, your hands are around the manifold. There it goes. Most people freak out when they see that for the first time, and then once you explain what's going on, you know, of course you can clean it all off with alcohol before you put the heat shield on, but you're just talking about this off your hands around it. It'll burn off in a second. Nice. You put the heat on too?
I didn't yet,
no. No stumble. It sounds nice. It's responsive. Night and day. So we went ahead and balanced the injectors. We saw a couple of injectors were a hair off. This makes life so much easier. Works like a champ, so simple too. We've got a slightly newer, improved version of this, but this is one we've been using for probably 10 years. Also, put your hand here. You want to make sure you don't feel puffs of air like pops. It's usually misfire on the intake side when you see that. It's pretty common in S2000s. This one is smooth. It's smooth as silk. Motor sounds great. We turn the mic around. So one of the other things the customer's looking at doing is these exhaust tips. So you see how much they stick out. It's always worse when they're on the ground, but you see they're sticking out from this section here. I would say we're maybe 1.25 inches. So we tend to like to have this part level, but it is by Comtech, which is obviously a good brand. The other, I don't believe they're around anymore. We used to buy from these guys a long time ago. Anybody that's been in the Honda game 15 years knows that name. But that just is bothering him, and I don't blame him because it bothers us. So everything else fits on the exhaust. We're gonna take it down, cut these tips off. He likes the tips. I noticed that this is cracked along here. This is like the cap that pushes over the body, and it's cracked. Well, we'll look at the other one. That is cracked, and got a hole in there. It's actually leaking. This case is come down. You see the difference, how much it's dropped, maybe 1/4 inch, which it didn't sound loud, but it did sound kind of funny. It had like a almost like a leaky type sound, which pretty explains that. So you know, it's like, do you charge him to fix the tips and then charge him to fix this, which is already cracked? This is expanded down. I almost feel like we're just fixing an old exhaust at this point. And being a nice car and an enthusiast, you know, we're not patching up an old car, as my dad would say. We're not just trying to make it go down the road so the guy can get to work. This is an enthusiast car. This is something that he is into. I mean, look at the wheels, look at the brakes, look at the car. He's just put a beautiful steering wheel on it. I think we're going to scratch that exhaust and talk to him first, because I think he's wasting money. So we're not going to charge him for that. We're just going to leave it alone and recommend that to be done on the next interval, which is end of the year. Alright, so sometimes we forget to film. We're changing carpets in here. He supplied new carpets, and this is pretty common. This is obviously, your seat is over here, your feet get on here. It always chews this area up, which is kind of a shame, because this carpet is perfect because it doesn't get used. It's just kind of a break, you know, right here. It's a shame it doesn't separate, but it's a pretty easy job. You just got to take the seats out and a whole bunch of clips. There's clips along here and obviously the back section. Use one of these tools right here, makes your life easier. Just put it on here, a little bit of pressure, pops out. We'll take all this out, put the new carpet in, give it a vacuum, give everything a wipe around, and it's good. It's good to go.
Alright, today on the lift we have an NSX, the 2017, and I don't know what this red's called, but it's fantastic on this car. It even has matching seat belts. Looks really good in this color. We'll start taking all this apart. We got to get the back wheels off, the rear diffuser, the wheel wells.
So if you get a chance to see one of these in person in the sun, it's a beautiful color. I believe it's Valencia red, but now it's overcast. Doesn't really do a whole lot of justice for this color. I did take a couple of pictures of it last week. I'll see if I can post one of those, because it really does look sharp. In fact, look at that, a picture of a picture. That does look sharp. So let's get a quick sound clip, let you hear some turbo noises. Ready? That makes all the difference. These cars look like a supercar, but they don't sound. So these cars sound like a supercar now, edit that. So these cars look like a supercar, but they don't make any noise even in sport mode. In sport right now?
Yeah, Sport Plus, so the valves are open.
Okay, let's get into the sound clip. He's burping a little bit. You need that. Again, it's so funny how it just decides, all right, we're done. And then it goes.
We're not going to rev it anymore.
Yeah, we're done.
But then I think if we go Sport Plus, it'll start back up too.
Yeah, it stays running all the time in Sport Plus. Yeah, it's kind of funny. And the funny thing is the EV mode isn't EV when you want it. Like, let's say 2 in the morning, you start the car, it doesn't start in Evo mode. Evo starts in EV mode. It starts the engine and runs for about a minute.
Yeah, I think where it says quiet, it should be like a Prius. I hate to say that, but it should be like a Prius.
I fully agree.
Where you could roll on only electric to 30 miles an hour, and then it starts.
Then it starts, yeah. Because, like, I went to Cars and Coffee a handful of times. 4 in the morning, I hit the key, start it. It starts up, runs for about a minute, and then as I leave my neighborhood, then it goes into EV mode.
Yeah, once you don't care anymore, it goes silent.
Yeah, it's kind of goofy. It's kind of a good idea, but it's kind of goofy at the same time. And don't get me started on some of the things I don't like about it.